الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد فأوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. واتقوا الله ويعلمكم الله والله بكل شيء عليم. صدق الله العلي العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this blessed day. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to be in this year of that we are in the last days of Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah is going to start soon. So we're almost completing the Hijri year, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all of our good deeds that we have started in the beginning of this year, and the things that we did, may Allah accept from us, and the things that we aimed to do and intended to do but couldn't, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala excuse us for that and allow us to rebound and get back to those goals, inshallah. Moving forward, inshallah, today I wanted to talk about the story of Khidr al-Khadir. Two ways of saying the name of the saint that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Kahf. The third story, the story of the trial of knowledge. The trial of knowledge, and of Musa alayhi salam and his companion who sought out this individual whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given knowledge that he has not given to anyone else. Not given to anyone else. And it's called ilm ladunni, a special gift from Allah, special knowledge that Allah gives to those individuals, and they are very rare. There are not a lot around. That's knowledge that is given divinely to them. So Musa alayhi salam, who's a prophet, one of the ulul azm, one of the great prophets of the past nations, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him knowledge, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the beginning, where he went out to see and to call out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was the one who spoke to God, Kalimullah. He would be the most knowledgeable person. And of course, a prophet has to be the most knowledgeable person among his people. Why? Because the prophet is the guide, he's the teacher, he's the one who's going to give them knowledge. So that person has to be the most knowledgeable. So in this case where Musa alayhi salam, when he was asked who's the most knowledgeable person, he said, I am. It was very true in its essence. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to elaborate on that there is a lot more than what we already have. And therefore, Musa alayhi salam had this conversation. It's one of the hadith of the Israeliyat, which is the hadith from the previous nations, that it is good to mention, not necessarily saying that it is sahih or is da'if, but it's very true in its essence that they had this conversation and they saw a bird flying down, and it took some water from the river in its beak and flew away. And Khadr alayhi salam said to Musa alayhi salam, said, your knowledge and my knowledge compared to the knowledge of God is like that little drop of water in the beak of that bird compared to the whole ocean or the river. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, one of the things that he asked the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam to ask God, it was knowledge. وَقُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي, and say to increase my knowledge. And therefore knowledge is very powerful. It's very useful in every walk of our lives, whether it's the knowledge, in particularly the knowledge of the deen, the knowledge of the prayer, the knowledge of zakah, the knowledge of transaction and all of those things. And then the knowledge of how to navigate through this world, the secular education and all of that is beneficial. A person should go for it. And in particular, I wanted to kind of take the advantage of this time that we're in right now. A lot of our high schoolers in particular, but a lot of our other students who have vacation, summer vacation, this is the time to go out and seek knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned about a few things that will benefit the person after the person passes on. And one is knowledge that he is left behind that will benefit people. أو علم ينتفع به, knowledge that people can benefit from. Any type of knowledge that benefits people, that it is something that is going to be your sadaqah jariyah. So teaching knowledge, just like in the story, because I'm not going through the whole story, just some little snippets. The child, right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, these pious individuals a child that came way later on in their progeny. And وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا. Some of the scholars say that was the 7th generation. So وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا, the good that they had left behind, even a child, right? That it is going to be beneficial through knowledge. So knowledge you can teach to a child, and that becomes also a child. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said it in a very broad way, that you teach a child, you give a child knowledge, you raise a child beneficial, that child later on when he grows up, he makes dua for you, right? وَلَدٌ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَكَ. He didn't say وَلَدَكَ, your child, you have to invest only in your children. And therefore a strong community, a strong family definitely invests in their own children, but a strong community definitely becomes stronger when they invest in their children, in the community's children. So therefore seeking knowledge, especially in this time in summer vacation, when you have the opportunity, and especially when you have time, you have energy, your brain is also much stronger than the older people like myself, where you can seek knowledge. So it is a time to seek knowledge as much as you can. And therefore Musa alayhi salam was a prophet who was from the Ulul Azm, was Kalimullah, was one who spoke directly to God. He was also ordered to go and seek the knowledge that he didn't have. That ilm laduni that Allah gave to Khadr, specifically to him, the takwini ulum. He was not given that knowledge. So he was told to go and find that person. And he went out to seek. and his student also followed him in a very difficult journey. Back then it was traveling mostly on foot, if not a camel or a horse or a donkey or a mule. But it was not easy like the time that we live in, that we can just catch a flight from Logan Airport, go in a nice land there, go straight to the air-conditioned environment, and be in a nice place. Before it was difficult. So, but Musa alayhi salam and his student went out to seek knowledge. And last but not least, one of the things that is very important that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right before mentioning the story of Musa and Khadr and the trial of knowledge, which is the theme of that story, right before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَصَرَّفْنَا لِلنَّاسِ فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ وَكَانَ الْإِنسَانُ أَكْثَرَ شَيْءٍ جَدَلًا. That the human beings, the human are the ones that are most confrontational, most, always ready to argue, ready to have an argument, ready to just, go after and questioning without any, ends for it, without any, outcome, looking, for a beneficial in a fruitful outcome. Just argue, just question. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said that ilmun yuntafa'u bi, a knowledge that should be beneficial. And that's one of the Prophet ﷺ's dua. Asaluka ilman nafi'an. Oh Allah, give me knowledge. Not any knowledge, but knowledge that will benefit. Right? And then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that knowledge, you should not be arrogant about it. You should not be arrogant about it, that, oh, I have so much, I have a lot. Normally people, when they're most educated, when they're more educated, when they have more knowledge, they become more humble. Just like a fruit that is full of fruits, it's humbled down. And a tree that has no fruits on it stands up tall, right? So that's how a person should be when a person has a lot of knowledge. When he has knowledge, he should be humble and not attribute everything to himself. And therefore, this argument that, I have an opinion, it's mostly out of, arrogance, that I know better than you. That's another way of saying it, that, I have also my opinion. And therefore the story of Khadr, very interestingly, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions, He puts it in three different ways. That the first one, He says, Al-Khadr says, فَأَرَدْنَا, that we tried, right? And then the second one, it goes on to, how does it go? فَأَرَدْنَا فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. That in the end, it goes and attributes all of that to God. فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ, that your Lord wanted to make this thing happen. So it starts from Himself saying that, I wanted to, or we wanted to make this change. And then eventually leaving it to God. That فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ أَنْ يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُ وَيَسْتَخْرِجَ كَنْزَهُ, all the way to the end. Right? فَأَرَادْنَا أَنْ يُبْدِلَهُمَا. So all the way, so attributing knowledge and attributing anything that you have, especially when it comes to knowledge, being humble. And that's why the scholars, when they used to give a fatwa, always in the end, وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِالصَّوَابِ وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمُرَادِ بِذَلِكَ. Allah starts the Quran with Alif Lam Mim. Most of the commentaries on the Quran, they would say after that, Allahu a'lamu bi muradi bi dhalik. Allah wants us to start the Quran with the first word, that we leave the meaning to God. That we don't know exactly what does it mean. Alif, Lam, Mim. 3 letters. It's first ayah. We don't know the meaning. We don't know the exact meaning. Scholars have taken other meanings out of it. But the exact meaning, what Allah wanted, we leave it to God. Leaving it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we take the opportunity that we have and seek knowledge when we have the ability, when we have good health, when we have time on our hands to seek knowledge and do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, sahhala Allahu lahu bihi tariqan ila al-jannah. That when a person goes out to seek knowledge, when you come to the masjid, or you go somewhere, or you attend a Zoom class with that intention, man salaka yaltamisu fihi ilman, that when a person goes on a path to seek knowledge, sahhala Allahu, Allah will make his way to Jannah easy. Allah will make his way to Jannah easy. Meaning that that's your path to Jannah when you're going to seek knowledge. And if you are not from one of those who are seeking knowledge, help someone who's seeking knowledge. Right? And if you cannot do that, help that person, maybe monetary. And if you cannot do that, at least make dua for that person. Be a lover of the seekers of knowledge. That's the least that we can be. Be a lover of the seekers of knowledge. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us knowledge that is beneficial. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our children knowledgeable people. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise them among the pious people. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو الفضل العظيم. Also we have the first 10 days, or the last special 10 days of the year, the first 10 days of the Hijjah, which is a very special days, inshallah, coming up soon. We'll have some programs here in our masjid, but try to plan something else, something additional to that for yourselves, for your family, inshallah. These are very special days, inshallah. We'll be talking about it in the next Friday khutbah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be from the people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in those special days, and count us among those who are going for Hajj, inshallah. Also, please make dua for a special one of our individuals of our community, Brother Abu Ahmad, who has had an eye surgery. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him shifa, give him afiyah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give shifa to all those who are sick in our community. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for those who are suffering all around the world, especially in Afghanistan, where there was an earthquake. Many, Bangladesh was a flood. In many places that Muslims are always, as they say in a sha'r, in a Farsi poem, Urdu, rahmatein hain teri aghyar ke kashanon par, barkirti hai to bichare musalmanon par. That it is a very difficult time that we're living in as Muslims, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to trial us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put us to test, and let's see how we can come out. So if we are in a good situation, the least that we can do is that we make dua for those who are afflicted all around the world. And if you can, there are many organizations that are collecting donations for those places, for those affected areas. So try to support as much as you can, inshallah. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات ألف بين قلوبهم وأصلح ذات بينهم واهدهم سبل السلام وجنبهم الفواحش والفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن اللهم فرج هم المهمومين ونفس كرب المكروبين واقض الدين عن المدينين اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون